I read online you was like when you were 8 in Club Med. Was that like a family vacation or like how was that?
Yeah, we were in a holiday, and my dad was a professional soccer player, and we went in place where was some couple of sailboat, and I learned of sailing boat there, and really early during a summer holiday. And then I picked up that just because I didn't want to do soccer like my dad, I guess.
And so from that, then you stuck in sailing, and the rest is kind
Yeah,
of history a little bit.
I did my military service in Belgium
Okay.
in the sailing team, the national sailing team, and then I met a guy, and I helped him to deliver a boat to Brazil, and I did a trip around the Atlantic for 1 year to get more miles offshore, because I wanted to do a race called the Mini Transat.
Yeah, okay, I know.
And I did this race in 1983, and I won the race in my class. And from there it started all the time, and I got opportunity to do the Quebec Saint-Malo race. That's where I met my wife in 1984 for the first Quebec Saint-Malo race, and after that more race. Did the Whitbread in '89, and during the Whitbread I met the guys from North Sails in Toronto, and when I came back, we lived in Quebec for a while. I worked for a sailmaker there, and after the Whitbread, when we finished the Whitbread in 1990, I came back and I moved to Toronto. From 1990 to '98, worked for North Sails there.
Was it at North Sails Faux Limited at that time? Or
It was the end of the North Sails Faux, but Hans was there still. So.
Okay, so I used to know Hans like really
Oh,
well,
yeah?
and I used to work for his son Morton at
Okay.
Faux Marine. So
Well, yeah.
that's how I got into the whole
Yeah,
sailing
okay.
world. So what would be your advice for like young sailors back in Canada and like Quebec and Montreal, like to get into like your level of sailing that they are today? Like,
Well,
what's your advice?
I think the Olympic classes in Canada are really good. Offshore it's more complicated because of the weather, and the winter is quite long. So it's the same advice I gave to young kids in Belgium. The best way if you want to do a career in sailing is to get out of Canada and Belgium. It's not fair. It's not nice to say that, but it's the only way for me that I found to be in the high level competition. But in Vancouver, I know Ross McDonald, and
Oh yes.
all those guys. They did a very, very good career up there, and it's possible for sure. But the level of competition, if you want to sail boats like we are doing in the Volvo Ocean Race or the IMOCA for the Vendée Globe, and even the America's Cup, you have to be ready to travel. Always come back in Canada, but
You're
try
always
to
on the road, basically.
be always on the road. And I've been on the road since I'm 20, and I'm gonna be 59 soon. So
But all
that's
the experience you've had has led you to this point in your career, right? Like everything that you've done has led you to this point.
well. When I was just a sailor, in early days, I thought the only way to get up to a family and be able to do a proper living was to also have a second job, and that's the reason why I started sailmaking, and I started working on the floor, work as a salesman. Then when I moved in Europe, I managed to add the opportunity to become manager of a loft in a country, and something that I did from 2000 to 2014. So for 14 years I ran that, and I went up to the management in Europe, to be vice president of the group, and before the group became something different and we sold the company. But I always dream about, and I always said when I will be an adult, I will be team manager,
Okay,
because
so
I've been sailing, I've been in business. I learned business with Hans Faux and Larry McDonald and Hélène Michaud at that time, the three who helped me, and guys like Steve Calder. I learned the job there at North Sails, and then after that with Ib Anderson, Jens Christensen, and Henrik Soderlund in Denmark, they really teach me. They took me to another level, and I always thought I want to use this business knowledge, the technical knowledge that we have as a sailmaker, and then as a sailor also. I know how the sailors are. So if I put all this together, I'm not a business manager in the sailing team. I'm not a sailing type of manager. I'm going to be the mix of between the two,
Best of both
and
worlds.
that's what it's quite interesting.
With Hans and Larry impact or have they influenced what you're doing now?
What I learned from Hans is it's always important to have our hands on the job and not letting the other ones doing it for you. That's what I learned from him.
Sounds very much like Hans.
He never gave up. It was quite interesting view, and until the end he was sailing and he competitively, and it's an example for all of us. And the funny enough is that after that I moved to Denmark and worked with Ib Andersen, who knew Hans when they all worked with Elfström and in Denmark. So I went to different places where Hans had a sail loft in close to Copenhagen, and I worked with people who knew him very well. So somehow, when I met, North Sail Foe, I continued to grow up, and Hans has been in that shadow all the time. So it's quite interesting, and even if I don't see, the Foe family, and because I don't go back to Toronto anymore. When I go back in Canada, I go in a family in Montreal. But really, they helped me to move on, especially also with a guy like Steve Calder, who helped me to understand the design part, to understand better the sales. And then with Larry, I learned the business to be a good salesman. Larry is the one who took me. Larry is, in fact, I came to North Sail Toronto to work as a sailmaker. I thought that's what I would do because that's what I did before. And Larry said, no, you're going to be salesman. And I said, I didn't speak very well English at that time. I have no idea of what a salesman was supposed to be. But very quickly I learned, and he helped me big time to become one of the top salesmen in the group. So that was pretty good, in fact.
And what was your favorite memory of working with Larry and Hugh, in the loft?
Well, those were the days where we were going to sales meeting in fantastic place. We went in Whistler, we went skiing, and Larry, Larry is the kind of guy who was not afraid to break the rule a little bit. So, and he's the one I learned. In fact, he's the first one who told me that if we want to go further, we need to break the rules, not be afraid to break the rules. So somehow, it's so to speak, yeah. And we did a couple of times, and I keep thinking about him because after that, during my career, I've met a lot of guys who were a bit like that. A guy like Mark Turner, who was a guy who started OC Sport, the Extreme Sailing Series, and worked on the Volvo before. A designer like Juan Koyumijan, and it's also a guy who is not afraid to try to think. In fact, it's not about breaking the rules, it's about thinking out of the box. And when you think out of the box, everything is possible. I learned quite well, and I had some good time with Larry and the boys there.
And this is your second time around with, Dongfeng. What would be the biggest differences between this edition and the last edition of that?
Well, the last edition we decided to take on Chinese people for sailing, and some other people tried before, and they didn't manage to do it. So they end up with one Chinese on the team, and the rest were Kiwi or English. And this time we decide, in 2014, we decided to take 30% of the team. In every single department, we had Chinese people. We had 4 or 5 sailors, and then we had people in logistics, people in comms, people in management. And it was a challenge, and a lot of people at the beginning in the press thought that if we could reach Cape Town, it would be a fantastic achievement for the team. And I remember the first race we did in Alicante, and we won the first import race. And everybody started looking at it and said, whoops, something going on there. And then we won 2 legs, and we finished 3rd overall. But we cannot write the same story anymore this time, because the sponsor this time wanted to do better than 3rds. They gave me the budget I want, they gave me the time I want, and I'm pretty free to do whatever I want. So with Charles Caudrelier and the team, we set up a bigger team closer to a sort of America's Cup organization. And you know, we have our objective, which is try to do the best at the end and do better than last time. And we cannot write the same story.
It's always a new story every
It's
time.
always a new story, and we are more on the performance this time than we were in the last time, for sure. But the whole level of the Volvo Ocean Race went up.
Oh,
All the
completely.
teams, Mafre and all the other ones, Vestas, they are sailing way better than
Oh, for
last
sure.
time. Moi, je dirais que pour toute personne, comme je l'ai fait quand j'étais en Belgique, toute personne au Canada, au Québec et un peu partout, dans des pays où la voile n'est pas le sport prédominant, il faut être prêt à voyager. Il faut être prêt d'aller naviguer aux États-Unis, prêt à venir naviguer en Europe et passer beaucoup de temps en France et en Angleterre parce que c'est les endroits où la voile offshore est à full régime, quoi.